Showing item button, unlabeled. Double tap to activate.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala Rasulih al-Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu wa ba'd. The Shaykh he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, Imam Ibn Bas in his Durus al-Muhammad to Ummah, some of the most important things and lessons that all of the Muslims should know, that which is considered from the Sunnah Salaat, that which is considered from the Sunnah of the Salaat, meaning the things that the Prophet ﷺ did in the Salaat that are not considered pillars of the Salaat, they're not the foundations of the Salaat, and they're not an obligation from the perspective of being what's called wajib there, yani sunnah, meaning that it's from his way, and inshallah, if you do them, alhamdulillah, there's a benefit in them, inshallah. And many of these that are about to be mentioned, there's some discussion about them amongst the people of fiqh and the people of hadith, so inshallah ta'ala we'll try to bring some benefit from that. The first one the Shaykh he mentioned is Rafa Yadayn in the takbir, and the takbirah, naam, to raise the hands when you make takbirah. So we know the takbirah is to say Allahu Akbar, the actual wording to say Allah is the greatest in the translation of Allahu Akbar. But raising the hands at that point, the Shaykh said, is one of the sunnahs of the Prophet, one of his ways, inshallah, that you should do. And this, many of the scholars, they mention and this means shoulder length or to the length of the earlobes. And we said the word in Arabic sometimes it carries the meaning ma'a, with, and so this is why perhaps some people they understand and they have taken the position that raising it so the earlobes means to be with the earlobe, like touching. But what we find is to raise towards adjacent to lengthwise, as if you take the same statement of the Shaykh concerning the shoulders, no one understands raise your hands and touch your shoulders, but they raise it lengthwise to the shoulders. Therefore this is the best understanding, when it is mentioned raising to the shoulder length or to the ear length. Then the Shaykh he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, in the ruku' rafa amin, when you go into ruku', to raise the hands coming out. And many times the brothers they ask, they say, well, we see people they pray and they don't raise the hands going into ruku', neither coming out. And we say that from the different ways the Muslims have been taught, the different hadith that have reached or not reached some of the ulama of the past, or some of the usul, the principles that they made regarding how a hadith should be scrutinized or accepted. Then you find some not taking those hadith that others take. So this is the reason why you see some people not raising the hands going into ruku', neither coming out. But we have the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, which has been by the scholars deemed to be the strongest hadith in raising the hands. Thus, this is why the Shaykh took that position, raising the hands going into ruku' and coming out. Also, the Shaykh he mentioned, wa barakallahu fikum, raising the hands in the qiyam and then tashahhud al-ula, in the rak'at al-thalitha, and when you make tashahhud twice and you stand for the third rak'ah. And again, we said this is from the hadith of Ibn Umar, and it is what is the strongest text to show whether you raise your hands in that position or not. Then the Shaykh he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, wa barakallahu fikum, ma'ala al-wada'a yad yumna ala yusra, to put the right hand over the left. And we know there's authentic hadith of Sallam corrected someone who had his hands the opposite, the left hand over the right. So we know that this is from the way of the Prophet Sallam and the action and commanding others, and that the right hand should be over the left. Some of the people, they asked also about the one who prays with his hands down to his side. And I remember a discussion with Imam Muhammad al-Harabi, who used to be one of the muftis in Mecca. He came to Philadelphia a couple of years ago and went to his seminars and his lectures. So people were talking about this aspect, and they wanted the Sheikh to get to the issue of is it sunnah or bid'ah, or is it from the way that Imam Malik prayed, or is it from this reason or that reason? And the Sheikh, he just simply said, MashaAllah, tabarakallah, that the Imam is made to be followed. So many people, when they pray behind people like that, because the Imam is praying like that, they pray with their hands down to their sides, showing the fiqh of the issue rather than the scholastic, is it from the sunnah or not? And so we understand that sometimes these issues may require some head-on dealing with them and others and going around them, but we understand that the hands of the Prophet ﷺ was right over left, and this is what he taught his companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. As for the statement of Shaykh bin Baz ala Safar, we say وَفِيهِ نَظَرٌ, then we say this part is to be investigated. And we understand that, many of the scholars have mentioned this issue as it relates to, do you put the right over the left and then place it on the chest? And we understand the issue of the question, do you put the right over the left and place it on the stomach? And we understand the issue of placing it on the belly button or below the belly button. If we take the latter ones on the belly button, below it, then we understand that the discussion about those ahadith, that they're unreliable, very, very unreliable, da'if jiddan. But people have recorded them and taken them into their works from the fuqaha. As for putting it on the chest, then most of them say it is the strongest hadith, the hadith of Wa'il ibn al-Hajar, that it is the strongest hadith, putting it on the chest. But many of them said, the statement, huwa asah fi hadha al-bab, doesn't mean that it's authentic. If a person says it's the strongest hadith in this discussion, that hadith can still have some criticism. Thus, Shaykh al-Mughni rahimahullah ta'ala, he takes that position that this hadith is not authentic, although it's stronger than the hadith that they use to support on the stomach. Although it's stronger than the hadith that they use to say under the belly button, still there's some discussion around the hadith. Therefore, Shaykh al-Mughni, he mentioned opposite of many of the people of knowledge, and that is, if you put it on your chest, la bas. If you put it below the chest, la bas, because the text to say putting it on the chest has some weakness in it, but it's not as weak as the other ones that they used to say put it on the stomach or below the belly button. So you find the Shaykh leaning towards the text and saying that the chest, la bas, or below the chest, which would mean on the stomach, but not using the hadith to say to put it on the stomach or to put below the stomach. And this is because this hadith has some criticism of it. That's the hadith of Wa'il ibn al-Hajar. So this is a flexible position, as the Shaykh, he mentioned this from the perspective of hadith. As far as Shaykh bin Baz, the author of this book, then he mentioned the right over left, which we know was the way of Prophet Sallallahu is authentic, and he said upon the chest, as this is what most of the scholars use from the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hajar. Then the Shaykh after that, he mentioned وتزيد في تسبيح فوق واحد and the ruku' wa sujudi, and that is to increase or to say more than once the tasbih and ruku' and sujood. What is the tasbih and ruku'? Someone tell me. Subhanallah. Now, so glorify Allah, and the ruku' is tasbih, to say Subhanallah al-Azim, glory be to my Lord, the one who is al-Azim, the most great and the magnificent. And then we have tasbih and sujood, which is now Subhanallah al-Ala, glory be to my Lord, the one who is aluwan, yani ala kulli shay fi kulli shay. He is above and superior over everything in every way. So this, the Sheikh said, to increase in that, to say it 2 times, 3 times, then this part is sunnah. Now, as you have to say it at least once from the pillars of Salaat in order for the Salaat to be correct. Now, and then the Sheikh, he mentioned وَمَاذَا وَتَزِيد عَلَى قَوْلِ رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدُ لِلْإِمَامِ وَالْمُنْفَرِدِ. And for the one who's leading Salah, and he said ma'mumeen, for the one who's leading Salah, one who's praying alone, and the followers, to say more than Rabbana lakal hamd, such as hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi, or as to say some of the other dua that the Prophet would make after saying Rabbana lakal hamd. And we should add, many times you hear the brothers say Rabbana lakal hamd and say hamdul shukr. But there's no authentic narration to say add shukr. You still have to stay in line with those things that you say in those positions. You can't just add something or put something, but rather it's legislated. What the Prophet used to say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the Shaykh, he mentioned to increase more than once in saying Rabbik firli, fi julus. When you're sitting, to say Rabbik firli. And some scholars, when they say Bain as-Sajdatain, they mean each raka'ah. When you have more than one raka'ah, then that means the 2 units of raka'ah, you're going to have a sajda, that is before you stand up for the 3rd raka'ah. But others understand Bain as-Sajdatain, meaning every time you put the 7 bones of prostration and you sit, that's Bain as-Sajdatain. So you find the understanding of what the word or the phrase or the action really means and how it should be applied, explained in different ways. So if you find someone saying Rabbik firli every time he's sitting, this is because he takes the position Bain as-Sajdatain, between every literal prostration, and not the prostration that's considered between every time you make the tashahhud and you stand up for a 3rd raka'ah. Now, so to increase in saying Rabbik firli more than saying it once, then this is also from the Sunnah of Sallam. Also, we forgot to mention dua istiftah. Naam dua istiftah, that is after you say Allahu Akbar, then you open with a dua. You open with a dua. Many times you see the brothers, Wallahu musta'an, before the takbir, he's saying something. Subhanallah, Allah ilaha Allahumma a'udhu billahi min shaitan. Now, before the takbir, Allah. You shouldn't make the takbir first, then you say Subhanallah, Allahumma wa bihamdika, wa tabarak ismuka, wa ta'ala jadduka, to the end of that dua. Or Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayni khataya. Like this. This is after the takbir, not before. So the Shaykh, he mentioned that also was one of the sunnahs we forgot. And then also the Shaykh, he mentioned, Barakallahu fikum, to sit on the left foot while you're sitting. This is from the sunnah, to sit on the left foot, have the left foot flat on the ground, and to rest the seat, the buttocks on that. And subhanAllah, sometimes it's very difficult for the, as they like to say, convert or revert Muslim to sit like that. Sitting on the floor or sitting in that style is very difficult. Even what we call Indian style. We learned this in school as kids. The way I'm sitting now with my legs, my rabba, this is called Indian style. Difficult. So you find people trying to sit on the foot and they can't. So if a person can't sit in that way, then inshallah ta'ala, don't worry. But this is one of the ways Rasulullah used to sit, that is on his left foot, while the right foot was erect. Then you find the Shaykh also mentioned, Barakallahu fikum, the issue of taharrak al-asabi fi tashahhud, moving the finger. And there's a difference of opinion with the scholars on the various hadith concerning this. The main thing is to know that the finger should be pointed, and if you take the position that taharrak means to point, and some people have taken that position, that moving the finger, the word in Arabic, taharrak, it means to point, to motion, to point, to direct. And others have taken the position, it means يتحرك, to actually move it. So if you take that position of the people say it means to point, then you wouldn't move it. It just stays pointed. And the Shaykh mentioned from the beginning of the tashahhud, even when you make dua, it's pointed until you make the taslim. Some people, they only point it when they make the dua, when they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, as this is a dua and statement of dhikr, then they put it down. This is because they learn from another perspective. But the Shaykh is bringing that which is most supported from hadith, that the finger should be pointed from the beginning to the end of the tashahhud. And the Shaykh, he mentioned taharrak, which some people have understood means to move it. And if you take that position, then this is okay. Wallahu musta'an. And that the Prophet ﷺ used to do this with his hand on his barakallahu fikum, on his knee, on his thigh. Most of the evidence show that the Prophet would put it on his thigh, and some people understood that barakallahu fikum from qiyas, that or some other hadith that may not be so strong, on the knee as well. And this is up to the person, whichever one of those positions he takes from the ulama and the fuqaha, Allahu musta'an. And then after that, the Shaykh, he went to the things that nullify the salat, muqtal salat. The first one the Shaykh, he mentioned, barakallahu fikum, the kalam fi salat muta'ammidan. If someone speaks in salat purposely, which will give a person the exempt status if he doesn't know. Because the Shaykh, he said, if he does it on ignorance, jahil, then it doesn't nullify his salah. Or if he does it on mistake, sometimes things happen in the salah and you may react, out of impulse. If the baby falls, you might say, oh man, but you shouldn't say, oh man, in the salah. Or if the baby falls, you say, let me get him. You might react, depending on if the baby's in front of you or something like this. And you have some narrations where, during the time of Prophet, somebody sneezed in the salah. And so he said, Alhamdulillah, because this is what he was taught from the Prophet. When you sneeze, to say Alhamdulillah. So he didn't know even in the salah, if you sneeze, you don't say it. He thought even in the salah, if you sneeze, you say it. So as he said Alhamdulillah, some narration said the Sahaba were looking at him in salat like, man, what's wrong with you? You talking in salat? So they're turning their head, which this is another thing the Shaykh, he mentioned in this issue of nullifying the salat, turning away from the qibla a lot. As a person can turn a little bit for whatever reason, mistake, or if he's blind like me, my bearings may be off, so I may think I'm standing straight, I'm crooked. Okay, but he said, turning away from the qibla substantially a lot, then this nullifies the salah. So this, they were turning like this, this includes the head, like, man, what you doing? Because the person said, Alhamdulillah, when he sneezed in the salah. And so this, if a person does it, he talks or says something that's not related to salah, and he doesn't know, then he's absolved. His salah is good. But if he knows, then his salah is invalid. And the Shaykh, he mentioned eating and drinking. Eating and drinking. And that's why it's preferred to rinse the mouth before you pray, because you were eating prior and now you're praying and there's a little bit of food in your mouth, a morsel or something. If you swallow that, you've eaten in salah. You've actually consumed something in the prayer, And so this, the Shaykh, he mentioned eating and drinking salah, and he nullifies the salah. He also mentioned to laugh in the salah, dahaki fi salah. If a person laughs in the salah, he doesn't have a salah. He doesn't have a salah. And sometimes you may find the person laughing in salah, maybe he has some sickness or something, or maybe he's majnoon, or maybe he something to that effect. So for that person, the pin may be lifted anyway. But for normal circumstances, if you're laughing salah, like I remember one time, one of my early jobs, I was working in an oil store, and I had a couple of friends. They were working there, and they were a little bit younger than me. So things sometimes appear funnier to the youth than people who are not as young as them. So they had an inside joke about something they were talking about before Salaat. So they went to pray in the back, and they took a long time. They took a long time to pray and come back to the front to work. So they told me the story. They said they were talking about something and joking around, and then they said, come on, let's go pray. So the owner told them, okay, you guys go pray and come back. So they went to the back to pray. And every time we'll make the takbir and start praying, the one of them would bust out laughing, because in his head was the thing that they were joking and talking about before Salah. So when he laughed, then it made the other one laugh. So they would astaghfirullah, then start over, Allahu Akbar. They would be praying just some seconds, and then one of them would laugh and the other one would laugh. And they had to keep starting like this. Why? Because the laughing, it breaks the Salah. The laughing, it breaks the Salah. And then the Shaykh, he mentioned al-abath fi salah, al-mutawalli, kathira, the one who's moving a lot in the Salah. Sometimes, the brother may blow his nose or spit in his handkerchief. This is okay. But someone, he fixes his watch, then he fixes his glasses, or he takes off his glasses, then he's filling in his pocket, make sure he has his wallet. This is too much moving. Too much moving. The whole Salah, he's just moving, his arm fidgeting, going in his pocket, no. You have some movements that's okay, contrary to some of the madahib, that you can't move in Salah at all. It will, blow your Salah if it's not related to Salah. But we know that you can move in the Salah. So too much moving in the Salah, this nullifies the Salah. If a person phone, for example, is singing, singing in the masjid, disturbing the whole jama'ah, that person can reach in his pocket, hit the button, because it's better to kill that than to have the distraction. But if he's messing with the phone, it goes off again. Messing with the phone, it goes off again. Then he has to do something else. Too much moving nullifies the Salah. And then the Shaykh, he mentioned, Barakallahu fikum, inkishaf al-awra, that the body parts show. And this is a big discussion we talked about. Big discussion. Big discussion. That the body part should be covered. Sometimes, the ladies, I don't see, alhamdulillah, but I hear the ladies, they come, some hair out of the scarf. This is not the discussion of whether this is hijab or not. But if hair shows, khalas, this is clearly inkishaf al-awra. Hair shouldn't be showing, you see. And sometimes, when you talk about the men don't walk around wearing abaya like the women. They wear the pantalon, qameez, pants and shirt. But still, for the man, it's clear, we're showing if he makes sajda and his shirt raises up and you can see his back. Maybe you can see his pants and his undershirt. That's one thing. But his skin, his back, Allahumma musta'an. You see. And when you talk about the issue of form fitting, we don't talk about it much with the brothers. And if you say brothers should put on the izar when they pray, or put on the jubba, they look at you like, you're extreme. But when we talk about kishaf al-awra, if the body parts are showing already in Salah, then this is the beginning of the awra being exposed. If the body parts, you have on pants tight enough for someone to see that's your knee, this is your thigh, or more than that, when you make ruku'ah, as the Shaykh al-Albani mentioned, hilyatain baydatain. It's distinct, the body parts. Subhanallah. And some people, they leave the Salat like this. At most we say this, لا يصلح, لا ينبغي ولا يصلح. والعيب, قد يكون عيب. It could be something that is like a bad habit, or something that's not so good of a characteristic, because the Imam, he is not only the one saying the Salat and making the takbir, but he's an example. He's an example, you see. And so this inkishaf al-awra, it's a big issue, and the Shaykh, he mentioned this. Wallahu musta'an. And also for the women, clearly, skinny jeans and a short shirt, or what they think a long short. Still, if the shirt doesn't cover everything that should be covered, خلاص انكشاف الأورة. Now, انكشاف الأورة, the body parts and forms, are showing. Wallahu musta'an. This is from some of the benefit of the Salaat, sunnah, things that the Prophet would do, emphasized or not recommended of the Salaat, and the things that nullify the Salaat. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to benefit us by the work of the Shaykh, Rahimahullah Ta'ala. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to make us of those who pray the way that the Prophet taught his companions and left for the Ummah to pray. And we ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to increase us in beneficial knowledge, to give us a wholesome provision, and to give us actions that are accepted by Him. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Rasulih al-Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira walhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Any questions, comments, or corrections?
Before the salah start, before the takbir start, sometimes you say اللهم احسن وقوفنا بين يديك اللهم لا تخزنا يوم العرض عليك.
قبل تكبيرة الإحرام.
قبل تكبيرة الإحرام أحسن وقوفنا بين يديك ولا تخزنا يوم العرض عليك.
وهذا للإمام أو للمنفرد أو للمجتمع أو ماذا؟ لماذا؟
when it's صلاة الجماعة. sometimes you say like this اللهم احسن وقوفنا بين يديك اللهم لا تخزنا يوم العرض عليك.
ثم يكبر ويصلي.
Not the imam. الناس. Sometimes I say like this.
يا أخي بارك الله فيك عمو. And it is the same for the imam, or you're praying by yourself, or you're one of the people in the line. And the way the Prophet he left for us, it says صلوا كما ماذا صلوا كما رأيتموني صح. And he got on the minbar and he demonstrated this so that people can see. And so the point is that this is salat for everybody, and that the dua al-istiftah, this is after you make the takbir. And how do we know? Because the takbir, the Prophet he mentioned miftah salat mada, tahur wa tahliluha at-takbir. What makes it the sacred moment for your statements and movements is the takbirah. That's why they call it takbiratul ihram. You're in a state of now between you and Allah. So, dua istiftah, the Prophet taught us that that's after the takbirah. But some people linguistically they might think dua istiftah means open your salat with that, then make the takbiratul ihram. If you look at it from a language perspective, it could be understood like that. Dua istiftah means that you start, that you open with. But even with Al-Fatiha, it's called Surah Al-Fatiha, but we don't say in the Salah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, before the Takbiratul Ihram. You have to make the Takbir before anything. Before anything. Or else you're not in Salah. So wallahi, some things are customs. And so many things that are customary really in their religion, they're called bid'ah. They come from all kinds of places and backgrounds, and people may have wrote some books about this, but one thing that the Prophet left for us is the Quran and the Sunnah, and this is what we go back to for these decisions. If we have authentic hadith and statement of Sahaba showing this, then we do it. If not, then we don't do it. So inshallah ta'ala, save your dua for in the tashahhud. Prophet mentioned to make ista'adha min al-arba', and then you ask Allah for what you want. This is the time to say that dua rather than say it before you make the takbir to ihram and so forth. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam.
Also when you raise from the rak'ah, you say ربنا لك الحمد, you say no, say الشكر, الحمد والشكر.
أيوة.
وصلت ربنا يسير ربنا لك الحمد حمدا كثيرا مباركا في ملء السماوات والأرض.
لا بأس ورد في حديث صحيح. ورد في حديث الصحيحة هذه عبارات. All of these narrations you mentioned after ربنا ولك الحمد حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. It's narrated that the Prophet led the salah and he said, يعني ربنا ولك الحمد, and a man behind him in the rank said, حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. So praising Allah, يعني is good, and in it, يعني is much good, like this. So when the Prophet finished, and he said, who made that statement? And the person said, and I did. He said, when you said that statement, I seen 70,000 angels rushing to write down this action. So this is a sunnah by approval of the Prophet. You see. And so, and you have many things happen, and then Allah revealed Quran. Sometimes it was a statement, and then Allah revealed Quran. So back then when the wahi was coming down, people were doing things, and it was either okay, and Allah and His Messenger he co-signed it, or it wasn't, and they put a stop to it. But now the wahi is stopped. So we can't say hamdun wa shukr if we don't have a dalil, or thana ala Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. We can't add like this. So when we ask me the scholarship, they may mention there's no text from what the scholars have mentioned from the books of fiqh and the Salaat to say hamdun wa shukr. If you say the other adhkar, as you mentioned, hamdun kathir tayyib mubarak fi min as-samawati wa min al-ard, or you say Allahumma ba'at bayni wa bayna khatayaya kama ba'at bayna al-mashriq wal maghrib. All of this is narrated in the hadith of Sahih. It's authentic. But to add hamd and then say shukr together, no. It's not. Wallah subhanahu wa ta'ala had it.
Also the Ma'mum has to say Sami Allahu liman hamida, or it is just to say Rabbana lakal hamd.
The Mahmoud. Wallahi, I have seen some fatawa, question and answers around this, and some scholars have said for the Ma'mumeen, he can say them both, but most of them say that the Imam, he says, Sami Allah, liman hamida, Rabbana walakal hamd, and then for those behind him, they say, Rabbana walakal hamd alone. But if you say both of them, there is some text to support that. If you like to do it, do it. If you don't do it. But don't blame someone else if he says Sami Allahu liman hamid Rabbana wa lakal hamd in the Salaat behind the Imam. And if someone just says Rabbana wa lakal hamd, don't blame either one of them. There is a text that shows that you can say that as a follower. But the norm in the Jamhur Ulama, for the masses of the scholars, most of them say for the one behind the Imam, he just says Rabbana wa lakal hamd based on certain hadith of the Prophet. But there is a text to show that you can say Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd as a follower, but this position is not the majority. But it's correct. Jazakumullah khair.
Also between the two rak'ah, he says have to say Allahumma ighfirli. Two sajda, so between two sajda.
Aywa.
And if you say Allahumma ighfirli warhamni warzuqni and stuff like this, he added some stuff.
مش والله ايوه طيب في خلاف بين العلماء في التصحيح وتضعيف الحديث. And some scholars there debating about is the additional thing accepted or not. Is it okay for the requirements of hadith? Imam al-Albani sees that addition to be sahih. To say Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wajburni warzuqni hakadha. Imam Ibn Baz said it ليس صحيح. هكذا said ليس صحيح. And this the scholars of hadith they make ijtihad, looking at the men in the chain, and sometimes they make a decision based on what's in front of them, the people in the chain. Others may disagree. It could be something that you find one person he's not wrong, but the other person is not satisfied with his investigation about the people in the chain. So to be safe, he says the hadith is not sahih. Because you have to be sure when you say this hadith is sahih. But as Prophet said, Man katib alayya muta'ammidan. And to make a clear judgment, you say this is sunnah, this is purposeless. You have to be sure. So some scholars looked at the chain, and there's somebody in the hadith, somebody said, for example, his name is Mahmoud ibn Salam. And then somebody else said, no, his name is Salam ibn Mahmoud. Like one time we had a talk on the north side, they put Muhammad Ukasha. So people were looking at the flyer and said, who is this? Is that you? Because my name is Ukasha Muhammad. So somebody had this in the chain, somebody said, nah, I'm not authenticating this hadith because I don't know who this person is. Somebody said, no, what's meant is Ukasha Muhammad. They made a mistake. So the one who's going to say, okay, I accept that, no problem. Who's going to say Muhammad Ukasha is okay because they mean Ukasha Muhammad. The other say, no, I'm not going to accept that. That's deception because we know somebody, his name is Muhammad, his last name is Ukasha. So we can't say automatically this is Ukasha Muhammad. You see that he's not going to go for it. So this is similarly the issue of, do you say Rabbik Firli between Sajdatain alone, or do you say Rabbik Firli wa Hamni wa Hadini wa Rizukni wa Jburni like this? So the difference of opinion. If you take the opinion of those ulama and others besides Al-Albani, they have mentioned that this hadith is authentic. I just mentioned him because he's the most prominent for this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Me, myself, I take the position that you just say Rabbik Firli and that's it. And I've researched the issue, but it needs some more looking into. So if you do either or, because it is an issue of is the hadith authentic or not, and it's not those that say the hadith is not authentic, that they say that the person in the chain is a liar. If it's that type of issue, then they can't debate. They have to agree. You see what I'm saying? But is this the right person in the chain, or did he narrate on his shaykh? Then these are debatable. Do you accept them or not, or can they be upgraded? So Rabbik Firli is the most prominent, but if you add the other narration, then la bas inshaAllah ta'ala, no problem according to some ulama of hadith. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على النبي.
The last question.
تفضل لازم.
Okay. When you miss rak'ah and the man is finished, you have to move it after 2 salam, or after 1 salam, or assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. You have to stand up, or you have to complete 2 salam.
Again, barakallahu fikum, there is a discussion about this between the ulama, and some of it is based upon which hadith you feel comfortable with. For example, we have the discussion of the hadith of the Prophet, whether or not it's authentic or not. In the Salaat, did he say to the right, Salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, just to the right, or did he say Salamu alaikum to the right alone? There's some narrations that some of the scholars of the past, before Al-Albani, they said is authentic. The Prophet just said taslim once to the right. Others say these hadith are not authentic because they go against the well-known authentic hadith where the Prophet said to the right and to the left. So if you take the position that the narration, you give one taslim is okay, then you would be from those people that say that the Imam's first taslim to the right gives you the ability to go with him after that and not wait for him to go to the left. Because the first taslim means he's finished, according to the hadith where the Prophet said, Salamu alaikum. Why did he get up and leave if he wasn't finished? Because if you take that hadith, then it appears that one taslim gets the Imam out of the Salat, so therefore the ones that move after that, they're okay. But if you take the position, as most of the scholars say, taslimatain, even in the janazah, most of them say taslimatain, you say salamu alaikum rahmatullah, salamu alaikum rahmatullah, then that would mean you have to wait until he goes to the left for you to move. So some people, they don't know about the hadith where he made one taslim to begin with, and they don't obviously rule that one taslim is enough for them as a follower to move to the right and then to the left. But those who know about this issue, if they deem the hadith authentic, to go to the right once, like Al-Albani and others before him, then you can say with one taslim of the Imam, that means I can start my taslim, I don't have to wait for him to go to the right and to complete to the left. So this is the issue why some people, you see them making taslim before the imam does the left, because he already did the right, and they understand that that's sufficient for the salat to be over, so they proceed with the taslim to the right and to the left. Others, they deem the taslim to the right and the left means the imam has completed the salat, therefore you follow him in that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله.
I have a question.
You guys are going to have to give me chocolates. Well done.
I was asked a question the other day about the imam waiting for people who come in when he's in the ruku' so they can capture the ruku'.
Hey, what?
Is that sunnah? And that's the question.
Is it sunnah?
Is that sunnah for the imam to wait for people to come in and catch the ruku'?
How does the imam know that people are coming?
We'll handle that. That's good. That's okay. That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So, the question, number one, is it sunnah for a person to wait in ruku' to allow others that are coming to catch the ruku'?
Yeah, for the imam.
The imam, I'm with you. And the second, how will the imam know that people are coming if he's facing the way of the Qibla? How would he know that people are coming to wait for them?
But that's part of the discussion.
Yeah.
But the question is sunnah to wait.
I'm going to deal with both of them like the scholars would deal. We'll deal with both of them. The scholars would be asked one thing, and they might answer three because they know it's related, that it's coming anyway.
Yeah, because I was told that the scholar, he said, you should wait for the first person. I said, well, what about the second, the third, the fourth? I said, what about he's in a big masjid, but he doesn't know who's coming in and out. It's like, in this masjid, you can hear the door closed. You hear people walking sometimes. But if you're in a big masjid, you don't know who's coming in.
Yeah, okay, so let's deal with this. Even the door issue before we begin, you don't know if somebody's going to the bathroom. Somebody could be going out to the bathroom, so how do you know he's coming in?
That's right.
So we'll deal with that. To begin with, when we say is it sunnah, we should understand, barakallahu fikum, that the meaning, the word sunnah has different meanings. It doesn't always mean that the Prophet did it. It doesn't always mean that he said it. It doesn't always mean if he didn't say it to do it and you do it, it's not sunnah. Because we just mentioned the example of a man who said hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. The Prophet is not recorded that he ever said that in salah. But it's sunnah. Why? Because someone did it in his lifetime and he allowed it, so it became sunnah by his approval. You see? Sunnah also means shara, like what you do in the deen. So this is why they say it's sunnah, meaning it's legislated. Prophet didn't tell them don't do it. It's okay in the religion. Likewise, barakallahu fikum, from the way of the Prophet sallam, barakallahu fikum, is to, even in the salat, make things easy. And this is in the hadith in Sahih Muslim of sallam mentioned for the one who's leading the salat, that he make the salat easy. It's short, not long. Because behind you, he mentioned people that are weak, those that have something to do, some that are sick. And also something to do means he have to leave and go out to do work or dunya. So Rasulullah mentioned this in the hadith. So when people look at that hadith, as they say, al-ibra laysa fi khusus Allah, you don't take the lesson always from what the Prophet or what Allah just says, but you take it from the generality of the meaning. Then if we take the likes of that hadith for making things easy, we understand for that imam to wait because he knows someone is coming and he wants that person to catch the ruku', then it becomes sunnah. It becomes mubah, something to do. And it's not bid'ah. It's not because the Prophet, like some people that ask, did the Prophet do it? Did the Prophet do it? Did the Prophet do it? Then it's not sunnah. Like, Allah musta'an. This is a narrow-minded person when it comes to fiqh and understanding what the sunnah, if he thinks sunnah is only that the Prophet do or say. No, sunnah is wider than that. So, and likewise, sutra. I'm going to make a comparison of something again. When you pray, and many people don't do this, and they take a madhab position, no, the Prophet said, either إذا صلي أحدكم فيصلي إلى السترة. If any one of you pray, let him pray towards something that will protect his area so no one just walks in front of him while he's prostrate. This is a general text. So we ask Sheikh Mukbil, if someone is praying, he doesn't have anything in front of him. And now we're not talking about a line, because some people use a string and a line. All of those hadith or mawdu'a, forged on the Prophet. He drew a line in the sand, and then a line in the sand. He drew a line in the sand and he prayed. That was a sutra. No, the Prophet will use his staff or a spear or something, to have in front of him to pray, like you pray behind the beam here. You pray behind a man is in front of you. You have a chair like this. He will have a structure, something. You see. So the point is that we asked them, the Shaykh al-Muqbil, if someone is praying in the masjid, we see he has no sutra. Is it from the sunnah that someone place in front of him a sutra? Is it okay that I'm praying and I have nothing in front of me, and Shaykh al-Nazi takes a chair and put it in front of me so that when I prostrate, no one can walk between me and my prostration? The Shaykh said yes, because this is helping that person fulfill a part of the religion, and Allah said, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Work together on things that are birr wa taqwa, good and righteousness. So likewise, if the Imam is praying, and I do it a lot, which comes to your question, the Imam has to mentally, physically, and spiritually be in tune with the Salah. And that's why anybody just can't be Imam, because he knows some Quran, he has a nice voice. He has to study what is the job of the Imam. He has to sit with those books and some people of knowledge to go over and learn. Because one of your jobs is to know what's going on in the Salah. So you can hear if somebody's walking fastly. He just came in, even if there's no door. You hear somebody's shoes in the hallway, depending on what masjid. You know somebody's coming in. So if you're going to ruku', give that person time so he don't run, because some people, they run anywhere, dash into the salah. Prophet prohibited that. So if I hear somebody coming in, I'll prolong my ruku' as a way of helping him catch the ruku', which if someone mentioned you and they catch what you can, and what you miss, make up. So helping him catch that raka'ah is a part of sunnah from a general perspective and a specific perspective from some text, but it's not from the sunnah like did the Prophet actually do it himself. No. It's not sunnah like that. Sunnah is broad, you see. And as far as you have to wait for the first person again, how are you going to know that's the first person, the second person? Suppose a person come in with the sun, but you can only hear the footsteps of one person. And you think it's one person, but it's two. And you can't stay in the ruku' forever. You got to come out, you see. And you can't put too much emphasis on thinking, okay, somebody just came in. How many people is it? I got to make sure, is he in the line yet? No. Now you're distracting your own self from the salah. Just enough to know what's going around you and to help people in their worship, then you prolong like this. And same thing with sujood. When the imam comes out of sujood, it's not just that you hear him say Allahu Akbar and you move. You must wait a little bit, because some imams, they say Allahu Akbar, but guess what? He didn't move yet. So if you stand up before him, you run the chance of nullifying the salah, because you can't move before the imam. Whether you're going into position or coming out of position, he has to stay the one who's moving first. And the companions, they mentioned that they wouldn't move until they seen the Prophet's back. He slanted, and then he was in sajda. Although he used to say Allahu Akbar sometime while he was moving, Allahu Akbar sometime before he moved, and Allahu Akbar sometime after he moved. He didn't always just say Allahu Akbar and move with the statement. Sometimes he said the takbirah, then he moved. Sometimes he said it while he moved. And sometimes he said it after he moved. So general people don't know that. All they do is listen for the Allahu Akbar, and they move. They might go before the imam, whether they're going into a position or coming out. So likewise, the followers have to be conscious of what's going on, but the imam too, because if he moves too quick, he might help someone nullify his salah by that person moving too quick before the imam. So the Imam has to listen to know what's happening, while he's still concentrating in his own salat, reciting and making the different statements and movements. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and yu'allimana dinahu sahih. Ask Allah to teach us His religion the correct way. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفره ونتوب إليه. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us anything I said of good that's from Him, anything of mistakes is from myself or the shaitan. Wallahu bari'un min, and Allah is free from that. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Device options. Showing items 1 to 4. Power off. Double tap to activate. Power off. Double tap to Power off. Double tap to activate. Double tap and hold to long press. Power off. Double tap to activate. Power off. Double tap. Power off. Spreaker Studio. OK button.